Your Honours. Am I audible, Your Honours?
Yes.
The Council acknowledges the gracious presence of the bench, but for the sake of gravity of the proceedings, seeks the kind consent to address the bench collectively as Your Honours. Much obliged, Your Honours. I am the Attorney General of Indoria, representing the respondents, that is the Union of Indoria, in this suo motu exercised jurisdiction, which is an epistolary jurisdiction of this very Supreme Court, in the case titled Indian Citizens' Equitable Access to Advanced Healthcare Technologies case. Your Honours, I would be making the submissions for issues 1 and 2, and my co-counsel will make the submissions for issues 3 and 4. If I have clarified the order of the submissions, may I now proceed to make the submissions for issues 1 and 2, Your Honours? Much obliged. Your Honours, the very first issue which exists before this Honourable Court is that whether the stem cell storage and treatment which is done through the umbilical cord blood banking system, whether it amounts to an essential public health care, whether because it being amounted to essential public health care, whether it is falling within the constitutional guarantee of right to life, which is essentially recognized as an integral part of right to life under Article 21 of the Constitution of Indoria, Your Honours. The respondents here humbly submit that this stem cell storage and therapy and all of these treatments which is done through the umbilical cord blood banking necessarily does not classify to be an essential public health care, Your Honours. The learned friend from the opposite side stated the stem cell in the India Therapeutics Private Limited case before this Honourable Court and classified it to be a healthcare service, Your Honours. We reaffirm before this Court that it has been classified only as a healthcare service, that too in a tax matter, and not an essential healthcare service, Your Honours. Because essentiality under Article 21 should extend to only basic necessities of life, Your Honours. When other basic necessities of life exist, such as food, clothing, shelter, sanitation, immunization, etc. When state is extending the protection of right to life under Article 21 to an advanced medical healthcare technology, which is very much not the only way by which right to life can sustain even for the injured person, we do not recognize the invocation of Article 21 here, Your Honours. And thereby, this very argument is fourfold in nature. Firstly, we would like to put forth before this Honourable Court the medical science establishments before we delve into the constitutional arguments, Your Honours. Firstly, we state that this entire premise is something which medical science abolishes, Your Honours, because stem cell therapy in its essence is of two types, Your Honours. One is the autologous stem cell therapy and the other one is the allogenic stem cell therapy, Your Honours. Now here, stem cell has been regulated in Indoria by the private banks as well as the public and hybrid cord blood banks. The state has funded only that particular stem cell therapy which is considered to be biologically superior, Your Honours, and we have discouraged the practice of autologous stem cell therapy, which is a biologically inferior practice, which is what the private banks are engaging in, Your Honours. So we completely restrict this practice and only aid to allogenic practice, Your Honours. Allow me to explain how they are different from one another, Your Honours. This is very much because in autologous treatments, Your Honours, what happens is the umbilical cord blood stem cells of a newborn baby is collected with an intention to cure any potential life-threatening disease which it might contract when it becomes an adult or in the future stage. But it is very much proof before this Honourable Court is that umbilical cord blood stem cell is not different from the very stem cell which is present in the person when he is an adult, Your Honours. So, the very stem cell which is present in his body undergoes multiple cancerous mutations and ends up leading to that life-threatening disease like cancerous, leukemia, like immunodeficiency diseases, etc. Your Honours. When it is leading to that mutacious disease, when we implant the umbilical cord blood stem cells back into the body of the recipient, it means we are tending to relapse the malignant injury which the cells of the body are meant to create in the future, Your Honours. So, hence we submit that when we allow this type of an autologous treatment to be done by the private banks, it would mean that we are causing more harm to the individual than good, Your Honours. And that is exactly why here the state basically proves its allogenic treatment to be the most highest and biologically superior form of treatment, Your Honours.
Pending before the court, which is a better treatment.
Your Honours, it
number
is...
one is whether it is essential public health care.
Yes, Your Honours. To prove whether it is amounting to an essential public health care or not, we are putting forth this argument, Your Honours. This is because the state has rightly funded only the activities which are considered to be biologically superior, Your Honours. For example, now here this...
Consider it as essential public health care.
We do not consider it to be an essential public
Then
health
why
care,
you are
Your Honours.
promoting it?
Your Honours, we are keeping it as an alternative, Your Honors. We just want to give access to the citizens of India of all of the treatments, Your Honors. Essential public health care is something which this stem cell therapy can demand if it was the only cure available, Your Honors. But there are multiple alternatives
So
available.
how many diseases are there where stem cell therapy is the only cure?
None, Your Honors. Because in all...
Are you sure?
Yes, Your Honors. Very much, Your
What is
Honors.
the treatment for thalassemia?
Thalassemia, sickle cell anemia and all of these.
What is the treatment available other than stem cell therapy?
Even bone marrow transplant is applicable there, Your Honors, which is an equally accessible treatment and a clinically indispensable treatment, Your Honors. Stem cell therapy is a much more expensive
What other
treatment.
treatment you said? Which is the other one available?
Bone marrow transplant and even chemotherapies also are available, Your Honors. So,
Thalassemia can be cured by bone marrow transplant?
yes, Your Honors, indeed. Even thalassemia is considered to be a genetic-based disorder, Your Honors,
Right.
for which the immune system of the body is very much affected, where the cells turn to be cancerous cells or they undergo a certain set
There
of...
is no production of RBC in the body.
Yes,
You
Your
have
Honors.
to replace the RBC every 15 days
Yes, Your Honor.
because their oxygen carrying capacity is affected. So therefore the body turns blue
Yes, Your Honors.
because of lack of oxygen. Their movement will slows down, they cannot work, they cannot study.
Indeed, Your Honors.
And hardly there are 3 or 4 people who have reached adult stage
Yes, Your Honors. Indeed.
during their lifetime because everybody dies in their teens.
Yes, Your Honors. Indeed, Your Honors.
Now you are saying that bone marrow is a treatment for that?
Yes, Your Honors. We are stating that even in bone marrow transplant, we are reinstalling the immune system which has been attacked, Your Honors.
It's not immune system, it's carrying capacity of red blood cells.
Yes, Your Honors. Even bone marrow transplant, as per our page number 3 of compendium, is proved. Am I with you, Your Honors? Even in our page number 3 of compendium, we have presented a clinical study, Your Honors, where it talks about bone marrow transplantation as to how it is a better therapy. Here, as Your Justice rightly mentioned, Your Honors, there concept of neutrophil recovery has been recognized in this clinical study, Your Honors, where they have understood that the white blood cells, the stage of recovery of white blood cells is much more to be proved in bone marrow transplants compared to umbilical cord blood banking system, Your Honors, and thereby ensuring that the diseases which may be caused by lack of white blood cells, that is leukocytosis, is all comparatively lesser in umbilical cord stem cell therapy compared to less in bone marrow
I am
transplant
talking
compared to
about
umbilical.
one disease and you are answering about another one. You
Your
are talking
Honor-
about leukemia, I am talking about thalassemia.
Yes, Your Honors. Here, thalassemia also we are getting it under this purview because even there the white blood cells are being affected, Your Honors, and the recovery rate of the white blood cells is much more higher. And also because bone marrow transplant has been a proved practice for 5 decades or more, Your Honors. Yes, Your Honors. So, hence, we state that bone marrow transplant would be a much better cure or alternative, or there are other treatments, Your Honors. So, as our opposite counsel stated the case of Paschim Banga, we also recognize that Article 21 must be invoked only when there is very much necessity, Your Honors. In that case, a person, Article 21 was invoked because a person was fell down from a running train and he suffered a medical emergency, Your Honors, a brain injury. Thereby, this court invoked Article 21 just to state because his emergency medical care was denied, Your Honors. There, his article right to life under Article 21 was invoked because that was the only cure which was available to him, Your Honors. But here there are multiple alternatives available. So invoking essentiality under Article 21 is not a valid contention by the petitioners, Your Honors. And we also move on to prove that the private autologous blood banking is something which is promoted as a biological insurance, Your Honors, which is very much validated by the ICMR National Guidelines for Stem Cell Research as well as the EBMT Handbook of 2022. All of these state that this is something which the private banks are using as a commodity to sell to the vulnerable parents, Your Honors, because this is not the only cure. For example, if we implement this stem cell therapy to be an essential public healthcare service, Your Honors, we cannot assure the citizens that once they save their cord blood in their banks, they will be assured of 100% success rate if they contract a cancer 2 years or 5 years later, Your Honors. Because the success rate is very much less as we submitted in the very same page. Even in terms of bone marrow transplants, 55% of survival rates are there, Your Honors. But in terms of umbilical cord stem cell therapy, the death rates are up to 60%, and also these treatments are reportedly meaning to have a toxicity in them, Your Honor, and that is why we are discouraging it, mainly keeping the welfare of the people of Indoria into consideration, Your Honor. And the other reason why we do not
enlighten us.
Yes, Your
This
Honor.
is not a good treatment, and you are listing out the problems with this treatment, so many.
Yes, Your Honor.
Then why state is investing in this treatment?
Yes, Your Honor. We want to ensure an equitable access to any kind of technologies.
No, not bad technology also.
This is, yes, Your Honor, that is why we are proving autologous technology which is used by the private banks is the biologically inferior treatment, Your Honor, not the allogenic treatment which is
But
used by
you
the
listed
public.
so many problems allogenic.
In terms of autologous, is these
You are not investing in autologous. It's not within the ambit of this hearing, no.
But we are instead investing on an allogenic treatment, Your Honor, where we use the stem cells from an external donor. So the chances of contracting of these diseases or problems are completely abolished, Your Honors. So we are rightly funding a medically established treatment which is considered to be biologically superior, and hence persuading
So
the.
congratulations, you are investing in the right place. That's fine. Now tell us
Yes,
that
Your Honor.
how this is not a fundamental right. Claiming the
Yes, Your
access
Honor.
to this treatment is not a fundamental right.
Indeed, Your Honor. Your Honor, we state that this cord nut storage in essentiality would amount to an optional luxury medical choice instead of an essential public health care, Your Honors, because our very own national policy of 2017 lists down multiple criteria which falls within the ambit of essential public health care.
What is that optional luxury?
Optional luxury medical choice, Your Honors.
Medical choice. What is luxury?
Luxury is because only the wealthy will be able to access this type of a treatment, Your Honors, because it comes with an exorbitant amount of cost, Your
You cannot call a
Honors.
treatment as a luxury, non-luxury based on the cost.
Yes, Your Honors.
It is based upon the necessity.
Yes, Your Honors. Indeed, Your Honors.
Yeah, my nose is too blunt, make it straight is a luxury.
Yes, Your Honors.
It's not, but I just gave an example.
Yes, Your Honors.
I'm not, I'm dark, I want to become fair, go for a skin treatment, luxury. Plastic surgery, luxury. It's not about the cost.
Yes, Your Honors.
Open heart surgery costs 5 lakhs, oh luxury? No, it's essential.
Yes, Your Honors, but the medical statistics prove that it comes up with such an exorbitant cost, Your Honors.
Again, you're talking about cost. Cost is not the criteria.
Yes, Your Honors. Indeed, accepted, Your Honors. But even then, this cord nut storage stem cell therapy will fall within an ambit of optional service, Your Honors. It won't come within the ambit of essential public health care.
Luxury. You're keeping optional.
Optional is very much proved, Your Honor. Luxury is very much because of the cost, Your Honor. As per
Again, cost is not the criteria.
Your Honor, but even the reason why the state is not able to ensure multiple stem cell banks is very much because of the cost, Your Honor. This in itself proves that this amounts to a luxury rather than an essentiality, Your Honor.
No, just because it is expensive, you say it is luxury.
Yes, Your Honor. We classify it under the ambit of luxury by comparing it with essentiality, Your
So
Honor.
anything expensive is termed as luxury, though it is necessity.
So studying law in national school is a luxury. And studying law here is essential.
No, Your Honor. Indeed not, Your Honor. So, Your Honor, we term it to be luxury only in terms of analyzing this.
No, see, listen to me. The dignity of the economically weaker section
Yes, Your Honor.
cannot be determined on the basis of costs of what the state has to incur.
Yes, Your Honor, the state very much agrees to this, and that is why even though there are multiple public healthcare facilities which comes with an exorbitant
However
cost.
expensive it is, if it is necessary, state has to provide.
Yes, Your Honor, but we are stating that it is not essential or not a necessary service, Your Honor. That's why it should not be
But then,
provided.
see, that is another argument you were addressing at the earlier point of time.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, what is your argument?
Your Honor, to address your question, even if it is a luxury.
You said that because it is expensive, it is considered as a luxurious treatment.
Yes, Your Honor.
That is why all these questions are arising now.
Yes, Your Honor, indeed.
What is your argument?
Your Honor, even if a particular commodity or a service, which is a medical service, even if it is considered to be something which is coming with a high cost, the state is willing to ensure accessibility accessibility to the same, Your Honor, if it is essential. But our contention is that we are classifying it to be an optional luxury because it is not essential, Your Honor.
That is another order. So which would you like to pursue?
Yeah.
Your Honor,
You gave us two arguments.
yes, Your Honor.
Choose one.
I will argue on both of it, Your Honor, because since I've already proved the essentiality aspect, which I'm yet to prove in a few other arguments, I will later address the cost aspect of it also, Your Honor. So, Your Honor, as per our national health policy, the listed essential public healthcare services do not include cord blood storage as an essential public healthcare. Even the World Health Organization's Declaration of Alma Ata categorizes only 8 essential healthcare public services, which does not include the stem cell therapy, Your Honors. And as held by this very court in the case of Francis Curilium Yulin versus Administrator Union Territory of Delhi, it held that the right to health under Article 21 creates a floor of basic necessities such as food, clothing, shelter, sanitization and immunization in primary care. Cord blood banking satisfies none of these and hence it should not be extended to the same, Your Honors. And also, Your Honors, another aspect to it would be the concept of polycentricity, Your Honors. If this court comes up with an aspect where they want to extend this service and cover it within the invocation of Article 21, then this court might also have to validate other advanced medical therapeutic treatments such as robotic surgery, proton beam therapy, CAR T cell therapy, everything within the ambit, because once a particular advanced technology is being covered within the ambit of essential public health care, the next question which would arise is why are the other advanced medical healthcare technologies not being an ambit of
whenever research happens, it is advanced for that time. It is now, but it is essential. After 10 years, now you feel that it is an advance.
Yes, Your Honor.
It will be essential. It touches the life.
Yes, Your Honor.
If it is not there, death is a certain.
Yes, Your Honor. Yes,
So
Your
after
Honor.
10 years, you will feel that no, this is essential only. Situation will not change. It
Yes,
has
Your
come
Honor.
first time. It looks like new, but it is essential.
Yes, Your Honor.
Cost cannot be the criteria to say whether it is essential or not. It should be something else. What is that something else?
It is the financial constraints of the state, Your Honor.
State will say, definitely state is bound to say no.
Yes, Your Honor. Financial constraints is one such aspect which is prohibiting us from completely establishing a lot of amount
It's
of...
like your obligation. It is a constitutional obligation on the part of the state.
Yes,
to
Your
provide
Honor.
essential health services. It
Yes, Your Honor.
falls Article 20 in Article 21.
Yes, Your Honor. But our funds are very much limited, Your Honor. We have already allocated the amount of 1.28% of our GDP to the public health sector, Your Honor. Allocating a way more budget than this would amount to our financial restraint, Your Honor, because every rupee which we have, which we would then direct towards cost.
Health of the citizen is important, or luxurious transport is essential for the state.
The right to life of the citizen is in itself the paramount obligation of the state, Your Honor. That is what the Salus Populi Suprema Lex also mandates. So the state always wants to ensure the welfare of its citizens only, Your Honor. So it is also subject to taking suggestions from this court in order to expand its financial capability, in order to include this to be under a part of its...
To adjust, madam, it is your job to adjust. Priorities are different. Nobody was expecting COVID will come.
Yes, Your Honor.
Immediately it was required to adjust. You could not adjust. Supreme Court intervened, asked you to supply the oxygens, beds. It was monitored. Nobody has raised objection for that.
Yes, Your Honor.
Same logic applies here.
Yes, Your Honor. But since stem cell therapy as a treatment requires even, we understand that it is a life-saving medical technology, Your Honors, but we want to understand whether it definitely will come within the essentiality doctrine, or only then we would want to reallocate the financial resources in terms of it, Your Honors, because currently we are of the view that every rupee which has been directed towards cord blood banking infrastructure is a rupee which is instead denied to maternal mortality reduction, tuberculosis treatment, malaria prevention and other essential needs, Your Honors, and that is exactly why we...
Stop selling tobacco. Tuberculosis.
Constitution, right to represent your litigant or the right to argue is not a fundamental right.
Indeed, it is recognized, Your Honor.
Can we deny your request?
No, Your Honor.
Then why you are requesting?
Your Honor, the Council wishes to establish that there are two major issues, Your Honors, under this particular case. That is, firstly, the
No, you are asking permission to argue or not. We deny that permission. Can we do that? What kind of right you are having to represent your client?
Indeed, Your Honors, that was the mere formality that the
Only formality.
See, you can start straight away by saying that you appear for the respondent.
yes, sir.
That's it.
Indeed, Your Honor.
Moot rules say.
Yeah.
Practice is
Not one is,
essential religious practice. Same thing, essential moot practice. Alright, the lighter way.
Your Honors, reason number 3, the Council shall argue on how the two-child norm does not violate the right to life and also the reproductive autonomy under Article 21, Your Honors. And therefore, this particular argument is considered to be fourfold, Your Honors. The first submission that the Council intends to make is that the two-child norm does not violate Article 21, Your Honors, as it is merely regulating and trying to see how it can regulate the statutory privileges and it is looking to satisfy the proportionality standards, that is the test of proportionality, Your Honors. It is humbly submitted that the arguments made by the petitioner primarily against Article 21 is fundamentally misconceived, Your Honors, because here the Article 21 looks to provide for the citizens protection in a manner where it protects them from the coercion against the state, Your Honors. Learned counsel on the other side mentioned that there is a fear of consequence as to what would happen upon the implementation of the two-child norm. Your Honors, there should not be a fear in this particular instance because Mr. Anupam Dheer and Kiran Dheer had their first child in the year 2005, and then in the year 2010 they had their second child, and then third child in the year 2013. But as my fellow counsel mentioned, the social policy which was initially brought in for the purpose of regulating the population was introduced in the year 2000, Your Honors. So a 25-year gap was sufficient enough for them to know what the law of the state is. So if
There is another aspect. Ceiling limit you have brought and denying certain benefits under that limit.
yes, Your Honors.
Is there any scientific studies done for that? Why not one?
Your Honors, here we are not looking to curb the fundamental rights of the petitioners as such, Your Honors.
We are also not saying that it is a
Yes, Your
a violation of right to reproduction, etc.
Yes, Your Honor.
Right to deny certain benefits of the state.
Yes, Your Honors.
Because he is having a third
Third
child.
child.
What the third child has committed mistake?
Your
Parents
Honor.
have committed, you deny them benefit. What about the child's right?
Your Honors, here we have to
Child has not understood 25 years argument what you are doing here. You have said that 25 years, everybody knows the law, they would have followed. Yes, helmet rule we understand. Because 18 years, up to 18 years I have said, unless
Yes,
he
Your
will
Honor.
punish me.
Indeed, Your Honor.
Child in the womb will know.
Your
And
Honor.
the third, fourth, fifth.
Yes, Your Honor. Here the child is an outcome or rather a consequence of the reproductive choices of the parents is what the council mentioned, Your Honor.
Punish them, sir.
Your Honor,
You
but
don't take out the right of fundamental right of the third child.
indeed, Your Honor, but here
It's largest of the state. Everybody has a right on that.
yes, Your Honor. Indeed,
You are
Your
only
Honor.
custodian of that right, of property.
Indeed, Your Honor. Here the council is merely contending that the statutory right, Your Honor.
Whatever. Statutory right, no?
Yes, Your Honor. Here we are merely looking to deny.
Right, understand.
Yes, Your Honor.
What my judge is saying. Third child.
Your Honor, the state is not with the intention of punishing any individual, but rather trying to bring about a transformation in the society, which is why we have brought in the population control law, Your Honor, in the first place.
If the
Punish
process
in
don't
the
deny
sense,
the...
not punish him literally.
Ah.
Punish him by taking away certain incentives that are given to the parents.
Not the
What
child.
the Chief Justice is saying is,
Yes, Your Honor.
not deprive the child of the benefits.
Your Honor, we have is not having the statistics of this right now with respect to the question that has been
You
asked by
feel
Your
that
Honor.
it is unscientifically done.
Yeah.
Your Honor.
Or this is evolving unscientifically.
No, Your Honor, it is very much on the basis of medical research as my counsel has already established, Your Honor. But the council's argument is
See, our
only...
question is on two-child norm, not on the technology.
Yes, Your Honor.
Two-child norm, you have been attempting to restrict them from last 35, 40 years.
Yes, Your Honor.
If it is successful, then there is no need for this law, because it's already you achieved your target. If it is not successful, that means it is not yielding the result, you should do something else other than this system
Indeed, Your
of
Honor.
introducing two-child norm.
Indeed, Your Honor.
In either way, you should not be doing this.
Your Honor, it is necessary for the state to regulate on this because every time there is a new outcome that is arising due to certain regulations or certain situations, Your Honor. So what happened in the state of Maharashtra is that a father of a girl named Prachi, merely because he wanted to contest the panchayat elections, ended up killing his own daughter, Your Honor, in a manner where the entire society was at shock, stating to what extent a particular individual can go if a particular individual becomes selfish on what he wants to achieve, Your Honor. So therefore the state has
So
to...
that's why you are doing now.
So it
State
is
is killing the child.
Your law will become drastic, no?
No, Your Honor, the state is merely looking to curb and ensure that such incidents do not take place, Your Honor, in the further instances. Your Honor, indeed, Your Honor. As the council was arguing, the two-child norm also further satisfies the test of proportionality, Your Honor, which was reiterated in the case of K.S. Puttaswamy versus Union of India. So the test of proportionality can, in this particular context, be divided into three facets, Your Honor. That is, firstly, on the basis of the legality, next the legislative intent or what the aim is, and then finally the proportionality, Your Honor. So firstly, with respect to the legality, the social norm, that is the population norm, is very much in accordance with entry number 20A of the concurrent list under 7th schedule, Your Honor. And further, with respect to the legitimate aim, it aims to control population and also ensures that there is an equitable access to all the resources.
Healthcare is in whose jurisdiction?
Your Honor?
Center or the state can make the law on healthcare?
Your Honor, healthcare is present in the state list, Your Honor.
Then how you have made a law?
Your Honor, here the state, in the sense, means the state is free to regulate upon the healthcare matters, Your Honor.
Must have jurisdiction now in the proper entry.
Your Honor, yes. But here the matter is not merely about
Healthcare is the
healthcare.
state entry now.
Yes, Your Honor.
List two.
In list to provided in list to Your
How you
Honor.
Parliament has made the law?
Your Honor, here it is not merely about the healthcare as such, Your Honor.
How you relate this law to which entry?
Your Honor, this particular law is present under the concurrent list as the council has mentioned, Your Honor. That is under entry number 20A, Your Honor. That is population control and family planning. So the
That is the only
state,
sole object here.
Your Honor, here by regulating the population will eventually reduce, Your Honor. India was the second populous country after China, but today we are the first populous, Your Honor. That is the rate at which the population is growing. So that is one of the major concerns, Your Honor, and therefore it is necessary for the state to address this, is what the council believes, Your Honor. And further, Your Honor, the council was stating that in terms of the test of proportionality, the second legitimate aim or the legislative intent that this particular law satisfies is it regulates the population, and then it looks to ensure that there is equitable distribution of all the resources among the individuals, Your Honor, within the finite resources existing in the state. And then further, proportionality is an important aspect, Your Honor. This two-child norm does not imprison the citizens or remove them of their fundamental liberties or mandate any forceful sterilization or any kind of forced coercion, Your Honor. The state is merely providing this particular law in such a manner that it looks to regulate the population, Your Honor. If we are to look into the two-child norm bill 2010, which was introduced in the Rajya Sabha, section number 8 of that particular bill imposes a punishment of 5 years of imprisonment along with heavy fines upon any individual who breaches the two-child norm. But here the state is not looking to do that, Your Honor, because the ultimate objective is not to imprison an individual or impose fines upon them, Your Honor. It is to try and see what transformation can be brought in within the society, and that is why the state is aiming towards that, Your Honor, and does not want to put in any punitive or any other form of sanctions, Your Honor.
So, Mr. Counsel, in this case, present case,
Yes, sir.
when did the child policy, two-child policy come into force?
2000.
2000. When was the first child born?
2005, Your Honor.
When was the second child born?
2010.
So, while the second child was born, what if it were to be twins?
Exactly, Your Honor. This is why.
How would you?
Indeed, Your Honor, absolutely. I acknowledge your question, Your Honor. So that is why the legislature has tried to understand that there could be certain exceptional circumstances where the second pregnancy could turn out to be twins. This is why the state has not applied the population control norm to the twins. The twins are considered to be an exception in this particular circumstances, which has already been established before this honorable court by the way of the clarifications, Your Honor. It is provided in the clarifications where the birth of twins is considered to be an exception to this particular law, Your Honor, and the state clearly understands that the birth of twins is something that has to do with the biological consequence or how the entire event turns out, Your Honor. That is why we wish to not bring the birth of twins within the ambit of this particular law, and it is an exception, Your Honor.
Are there any other exceptions?
Third child I got up. I have already 2 children. They are not
Biologically.
Your Honor, but the stem cell is something that can only be collected at the time of birth, Your Honor.
Logic benefit we are talking.
Yes, Your Honor.
Stem cell is one aspect.
Yes, Your Honor. So if you adopt it,
I wanted to amend this law also adoption.
Your Honor, this particular law
Clear all
clearly,
these exercise, you have just jumped to a conclusion.
Your Honor, this is something that
What is
the
the consequences if I adopt third child? What happens? Whether I lose the benefit, child will lose the benefit.
Your Honor, this
It's
is
not about a biological child.
indeed, Your Honor, this is something that the ministry will surely consider and take it to picture and try to release a notification on the same, Your Honor. Your Honor, but the question that can
Or
arise.
the third parent can give adopt that child to someone in adoption who doesn't have children.
Yeah, and then I will have third child.
Your Honor, but
I'll have a third child. I'll give in adoption to the parent who doesn't have children.
Your Honor,
Whether
but
law applies
Indeed, Your Honor.
drivers or not.
Your Honor, but since the arguments in this particular case are with relation to the stem cell, here the adopted baby, the stem cell could not be of any, they may not be of any benefit to the child, Your Honor.
We are on the sustainability of your law, not on the facts.
Indeed, Your Honor. That is something that the ministry could take into consideration and.
You agree that defective law has been passed by the
No, indeed not, Your Honor. There is no defective
Then
law.
why you need to issue new circular notifications and clarification?
No clarification, can you issue these clarifications to the law passed in the parliament?
Your Honor, this is not a clarification, it's something that the state is looking to take into consideration because the court has to lay down an opinion with respect to the same, Your Honor.
Can you, we will fill the vacuums wherever it is a defective one, we will read it down and fill the vacuum like
Your Honor, the council already believes that majority of the lacunas and vacuums have been sorted, but if there exists any, the court is free to mention the same and the council can take it into consideration, Your Honor. If Your Honors are pleased with the arguments for this submission, the council can proceed. Your Honors, further the second argument is that the council would like to put forth the two-child norm is not violating Article 14, Your Honors. So the Article 14 is...
How much time is left with you?
Your Honors,
Okay.
much obliged, Your Honors. So here with respect to the Article 14, there is something that is called a twin test, Your Honors, which was laid down in the case of State of West Bengal versus Anwar Ali. That is the test of intelligible differentia and rational nexus. This particular population norm satisfies both because in terms of intelligible differentia, it classifies between the families having 2 children and the families having more than 2 children. So the families having 2 children are within the threshold, Your Honors, and more than 2 children are out of the threshold is what the council wishes to establish. So there is intelligible differentia.
Another class, no children, more benefit should come, no? If this reason what you intend to achieve, then larger benefit should be there for the children who doesn't have children.
Your Honors, but this is with respect to the classification between the families having children, Your Honors.
And not having it. That way we have made the classification.
Yes, Your Honors. Further, with respect to the rational nexus argument, this population control norm looks to curb the population of the state, Your Honors. That is one objective. And further, the second objective is that it wants to equitably distribute the resources of the state. So these are the 2 objectives that are being sorted by the way of this legislation, Your Honors.
The first objective is population control, we can understand something.
Yes, Your Honor.
The equal distribution is important. Not to the unborn.
Yes,
You
Your
can't
Honor.
regulate to the unborn is an important question.
Yes, Your
You
Honor.
can regulate to the person who already there. Parents you can regulate, 2 children you can regulate, unborn.
Indeed, Your Honors. Which is why the state is not being harsh on the child, Your Honors. It is merely looking to regulate the parents and their actions, Your Honors, and not trying to affect the child in any manner. And further, this two-child norm is considered to be neutral because it applies to all the persons irrespective of their caste, religion and sex, and that is why we are bringing in the argument of Article 14, Your Honors. That is the second submission. And thirdly, it is necessary to understand that the state's health obligations are bounded by the economic capacity and resource limitations, Your Honors. So as my co-counsel has already mentioned, the stem cell therapy is not a therapy that is very cheap, Your Honors. It is considered to be a particular way of entering into the hybrid banks. The state is also venturing into this along with the private players because the private players understand how this stem cell therapy works in the first place and the state is willing to make an investment. So here the larger goal is to try and see how this stem cell therapy could come out in the form where it is looking to...
essential function you are giving to private individuals, private bodies.
No, Your Honors, indeed not. Here the private players are merely going to help the state with respect to how the stem cell therapy works. The entire regulation, how the body works is taken care of by the state in the first place, Your Honors, and nothing more than that, Your Honors. Stem cells is taken into picture and try to be decided. So the chances of a particular individual who has a disease finding the right stem cells is much higher by the way of a public bank, Your Honors, which is why we are trying to expand the number of public banks that are in existence within the state, Your Honors. And finally, the submission under this particular issue is that the two-child norm was not the proximate cause which led to the death of Mr. Anukondi. Indeed, Your Honors. Your Honors, issue number 4 deals with judicial intervention is not warranted to enforce socio-economic rights, as there is no failure on the part of the administrative or legislative measures in securing the right to life and dignity for marginalized communities. And the respondent arguments with respect to this are considered to be fourfold, Your Honours. Your Honours, the Council wishes to bring the attention of the bench to page number 9 of the petitioner's compendium, Your Honours, wherein this very court, in the case of Divisional Manager Aravali Golf Club vs. Chandar Haas, has held that the judiciary must exercise restraint rather than assume the functions of the legislative or executive. Which is very clear, Your Honours. There is no ambiguity in what this court has held in respect of this particular judgment. It merely means that each and every organ of the state has its own set responsibilities and duties. And this is something that needs to be abided by, Your Honours. The Council is not stating that the judiciary must not intervene in matters. Yes, Your Honour.
Council said that they don't have sufficient resources to provide the healthcare service. And you are telling, shut up, keep quiet, you cannot be quiet.
No, Your Honour, that is not the Council. That is not what the Council intended to convey, Your Honour. It merely means that each and every organ of the government is considered to have its own functions, and it is necessary to allow certain amount of autonomy for that particular organ to function on its own, Your Honour. And
that autonomy is given for last 25 years, and you are claiming economic inability and not doing anything.
Your Honour, economic.
And when somebody comes to the court and requests for taking some action, you are asking us not to take any action.
Your Honour, economic inability with the extent of trying and investing on the stem cell therapy, Your Honour, not the entire primary health care as such.
We are not arguing that. You are arguing about the
Judicial intervention.
If you have done your action, you wouldn't have been hearing this matter.
Your Honour, it is the responsibility of the Parliament to balance the complex national interests, and considering that this is a matter of policy discretion, which a legislative body would understand better, because it is necessary
But
to...
if you don't ensure the health of the citizens,
Indeed,
what are you
yes.
going to do with the other aspects of, suppose you provide infrastructure and there is no healthy population to make use of that infrastructure.
Indeed, Your Honour.
You buy guns to fight wars, but your population is not healthy to fight wars. What do you do?
The state acknowledges that the welfare of the people is considered...
Health must be the primary concern.
Yes, Your Honour, as later in the case of Vincent versus Union of India, health is...
Your role.
Your Honour, the state, even before the president was laid down, has very much been committed towards protecting the state and also the citizens of the state in terms of their healthcare, Your Honour. And further, which is exactly why the state looks to regulate in terms of public health and also other healthcare measures, Your Honour. And it is necessary to understand that this is a matter of policy discretion, and that is why the state would be a better organ to try and respect to this. This is the only contention of the Council, Your Honour.
Okay, you are going to utilize that and pass the judgment based on that.
Your Honours, but the state is a particular body that has to be taken into consideration with respect to this, Your Honours, and which is why the state must be included in the policy level decisions, is what the Council is contending, Your Honours.
So that should be, that's a different argument. Okay, continue. I think your time up. He didn't see.
Council seeks an extension of 2 minutes to wrap up. Finally, the Council would like to conclude stating that the two-child law is very much considered to be a valid parliamentary enactment, as it does not violate Articles 14 and 21, Your Honours, which has very well been established before this honourable court by the Council. And further, Your Honours, if you are satisfied with the arguments put forth for issue number 3 and 4, the Council seeks to move to the prayer, Your Honours. Much obliged, Your Honours. Prayer. Wherefore, in the light of the facts presented, issues raised, arguments advanced, and authorities cited, it is most humbly prayed before the Honourable Supreme Court of India that it may be pleased to hold and declare that umbilical cord blood banking and stem cell storage do not fall within the ambit of essential public health care under the constitutional guarantee of the right to health.
Are you asking for dismissal?
No, dismissal or declaration you are asking.
Your Honours, it is not merely dismissal, Your Honours, there are also other factors that need to be...
You are coming to the court or they are? We have ourselves who have taken the proceedings.
Yes, Your Honours.
Why you are seeking declaration of your? What is the consequences assuming that we dismiss the petition? Whether it is amounted to declaration that what you have done is right?
Your Honours, here the Council...
Even it is wrong also, we may dismiss on some other grounds.
Yeah. Indeed, Your Honours, the court has a discretion to do so, but the Council is merely seeking the dismissal by
You come this side now, seek declaratory relief.
Yeah.
Indeed, Your Honours.
File a petition, seek declaration that our policy is perfectly within the frame of the constitution.
If there is economic constraint, we can exempt port fee also.
Indeed, Your Honours, but the Council is
saying that no state can't pay
the Council is merely claiming that the stem cell storage do not fall within the ambit of essential public health care and seeking declaration, Your Honour, by this court.
Seeking dismissal of the...
Yeah.
Declaration itself creates doubt, sir,
Yeah.
that your policy is not good. You want oversale.
Indeed not, Your Honor.
You claim that Parliament is supreme than anybody else.
Your Honor, eventually...
You are seeking our declaration. You are admitting that judicial review lies to with us.
Eventually the prayer is dismissal, Your Honor, but the...
Just end with that.
Yes, Your Honor, uphold the constitutional validity of the two-child norm enacted by the Parliament and declare that its application to the restriction of eligibility for state-funded welfare benefits, including cord blood banking under the hybrid public banking scheme, does not violate Articles 14 and 21 of the Constitution of India or pass any other such order or direction as this Honourable Court deems fit in the interest of justice, constitutional fidelity and welfare of the people of India.
Constitutional?
Fidelity, Your Honor.
Federality.
Fidelity, Your Honor.
Fidelity.
Fidelity, yes, Your Honor.
Infidel. Fidel.
For this act of benevolence, the respondent, the Union of Indoria, shall be forever grateful and ever pray Your Honour's much obliged. It was an honour arguing before this honourable bench, Your Honour.
Others, it was considered by my learned friend that the medical asset comes when it comes to the stem cell therapy by itself. It's a medical advancement and a luxury treatment. Now, my lords, I think the bench has certainly dealt with luxury and advancement as a category. I'd not like to push anything more. But my lords, what might be your luxury might be my necessity. My lords, that is absolutely subjective. And my lords, before 17 years, my lords, when Jacob Puller was put forth before this honourable court, the courts, we all the more mandated, let all vaccinations be granted to everyone. They came up with the same defense that we don't have financial resources. But today, Jacob Puller made it that it will be the right of everyone to claim your vaccinations for tuberculosis and polio. Now, my lords, with that judgment said, now we have almost eradicated polio and tuberculosis, and this comes up with almost 85 plus diseases. Secondly, my lords, this was my lords, it is the constant argument of the union to forever come up with this bench to just put their hands up and say that we don't have any funds. My lords, this was not just for treatment of my lords, the very Paschim Banga which they rely upon. If you look at their arguments in Paschim Banga as well, it was same that we don't have funds to treat emergency care as well. But however, this court went on to expand that emergency shall have to be given as health benefits. There, my lords, the whole claim that we don't have finance has to be negated, my lords.
In Paschim Banga, emergency medical care was, you cannot equate this to that.
My lords, 100%, my lords, it is only that emergency services shall be given. My lords, if I may rely upon paragraph 16 of Paschim Banga
State is
itself.
not obligated to provide advanced medical science treatment to all the patients, all the citizens of the country.
My lords,
State's obligation ends by providing emergency medical facilities.
my lords, I like to answer
Then
that.
what happens to the citizen? He just gives birth and then he's at the luxury of the state.
My lords, that is, my lords, I like to answer in a twofold manner, my lords. My lords, the very own Paschim Banga judgment by itself, my lords, can you please go on to read. I relied upon Paschim Banga for the reason that their argument constantly has been even for emergency services also that they don't have finance.
But what happened in that case?
My lords, if you may please go on to read Paschim Banga. My lords, it was that a middle class man who had an accident, went to an hospital, claiming medical services.
Then
The hospital said,
what did the court hold?
my lords, when it comes to emergency services,
Emergency medical services.
I agree, my lords. My
Yes.
lords,
This is not emergency medical service.
my lords, even by then, the mighty state was not ready to accommodate emergency services also. Their claim has always been that we will confine whatever we have. My lords, paragraph 16, if I please read, my lords, it is no doubt that financial resources are needed for providing these facilities. But at the same time, it cannot be ignored that it is the constitutional obligation of the state to provide adequate medical services to the people. My lords, that said, observations would apply with equal, if not greater force in matter of discharge of constitutional obligation of the state to provide medical aid to preserve human life. My lords, they did not say it was essential medical aid. My lords, they did not say it was emergency. My lords, the only thing they said what? It was medical aid. Therefore, my lords, the scope of Paschim Banga by itself was absolutely broad in nature. My lords, secondly, I believe that there was a factual misunderstanding by the counsel of my argument. My lords, I did not say that people have fear of the policy getting implemented. People have fear of exercising their right of procreation for the reason that you indirectly create a chilling effect on that. My lords, and the maxim ignorantia, let's non-excuse that is very well aware. It is not that I will not be prosecuted only because I do not know the law. I know it or not, the law will count on me if I do not tend to follow it. My lords, the very next rebuttal which I like to put forward, my lords, is how decentralizing the process is all the more important, my lords. My lords, you take away my right to contest elections, I don't have a problem. But my lords, lords, the child, again, I believe the bench was indeed not, but the bench has certainly put forth as to how the third child should be a sufferer of the whole thing. My lord, this Maharashtra's Prachi example was put forth. My lord, that is exactly where proportionality will come. My lords, if you have alternative measures where you can educate your people, where you can give them economic incentives, my lords, there are multiple other alternatives when it comes to test of proportionality itself. And if you have such alternatives, why do you have to come up with such a policy? And secondly, my lords, they relied upon this test of rational legis. My lords, the application of rational legis itself is flawed for the reason that my lords, there is no nexus between refusing to store a third child stem cell and population control. My lords, your policy has no connection to population control for the reason that refusing someone's treatment action which you have given as a right has no relation whatsoever to you controlling your population. Therefore, my lords, the test of intelligible differentiation.
But other treatments are already made available. Only stem cell therapy cannot be made available because of the prohibitive cost.
My lords,
Other treatment like chemotherapy is already made available.
My lords, unfortunately, the two-child policy which they have enacted is depriving us of that benefit also.
Which benefit?
No, why you want only that therapy? Why not others? When alternatively, that's what they said. Alternatively, many things are available.
My lords, if I may please quote my lords, clarification number 16, the list of benefits which I am deprived of under two-child policy, certain rights including government employment, right to contest any election, eligibility to government social welfare schemes. My lords, the last.
So how is that relevant for this case today?
My lords, eligibility to government social welfare schemes is exactly our problem, my lords. Today, you have all the more restricted my right to put my child's stem cell in your my lords. Your population control bill in 2021 was absolutely withdrawn from the parliament because you said that you will not give rationing to the third child. My lords,
Your claim was access to stem cell therapy. Stick to that.
My lords,
Your access to social welfare schemes is another issue altogether.
absolutely, my
That
lords.
is not argued here.
My lords, stem cell.
Don't expand without framing an issue on that.
My lords, if I am to tell that access to stem cell therapy itself, my lords, by nature the government is giving right to store it for 2 children. My lords, it's not for the third child, which is again what the bench which the honourable bench had already put forth. My lords, that being said, my lords, I'd like to conclude with my last argument, with my last rebuttal, my lords, which is exactly how my learned friend said that it is the hybrid bank which we have is an investment which you have made. My lords, whose funds are you investing, my lords? The taxpayers' money. My lords, if you treat it as an investment, why do you even have a government bank by itself? Thereby, all of us become scapegoats for the processes where the government will yield some investments and profits out of the investments which they put in, and we cannot be lab rats, my lords. And we cannot be looked on at for the reason that our population is not really making or paying their income taxes, which will all the more feed their pockets.
You don't want them to invest in this technology.
My lords, investing in a technology is different, my lords.
You don't want the state to invest in this technology. Is that the argument you just addressed?
My lords, I would like to clarify.
You equated it that the state is experimenting by storing only 2 children's stem cells.
My lords, I'd like to clarify my point, my lords. It is with regards to my learned friend's argument that the state, through the 60% share which they have in hybrid banks, they call it an investment. My lords, to be in the union side and to be calling it an investment itself is not something which is acceptable. My lords, you have the responsibility to provide equitable distribution of resources. And if your duty is to go and invest in schemes.
Then what they should have done, not invest, then what they should have done?
My lords, all the more considering you have framed your guidelines in 2017 and you have replenished them in 2023, rather than all focusing on legislating measures, you should be establishing government banks at this point.
So, Mr. Counsel, what is investment? Investment leads to
Profits, my lords.
no.
My lords, unfortunately.
No, not just profits. Investment leads to better results.
Absolutely, my
If
lords.
you invest in science,
Yeah.
what does it result in?
My lords, investing in science is not
invest in
a problem.
R&D, what it gets?
You were arguing a little earlier something else. Now, is this not going against your own argument?
My lords, the prayer which we have sought is to expand the facilities which we have, my lords. By that way,
Without investment,
My
without
lords-
investing in science.
my lords, it's
No,
expense.
his problem is the word investment.
Exactly, my lords. My lords, it should be an expense for the
It should
state.
have been charity.
Exactly, my lords. No, I'm sorry. I guess I pulled the trigger on that one. My lords, if anything, the state should spend on constructing government banks. It should not invest in private parties because they have technical know-how. My lords,
It's like play of words, leave it.
Absolutely, my lords. So that being said, we would be grateful if this honourable court is even forming an expert committee, my lords, considering there are a lot of technical jargons considered. My lords, that being said, if even that prayer is granted, we'd be more than honoured, my lords.
ಆ ಕಡೆ ನೆಕ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಫಾಸ್ಟ್ ಟ್ರ್ಯಾಕ್ ಮಾಡಿ